Okay, class. I'm gonna try to get done with this chapter. It's going on and on. Okay, this is 16F. 16F. Okay, and what we've been talking about the divorce rate, and we talked about legal changes. We didn't talk about them. I mentioned it. I'm going to talk about it now. Let me talk about legal changes, and then we're going to start talking about some of the other factors. Okay, the rising divorce rate was the first thing ogburn and nimkoff talked about. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about legal changes. If you remember from the last time, we looked at the divorce rates, and they started out low, popped up in 46, came back down, and they gradually went up, and now they're starting to trail off as the baby boomers age. But there was another factor that accelerated the divorce rates for the baby boomers, okay, and that were changes in the divorce law. And what we're talking about here is no fault. Okay, no fault divorce. Now, I need to kind of explain this to you a little bit. Prior to no fault divorce, divorce was a civil proceeding, okay, and it's like in civil court where you're suing somebody, okay, for damages, and so you have a plaintiff and you have a defendant. Plaintiff and a defendant, and the plaintiff is bringing charges against the defendant, saying that they've been wronged, and so it's just like if your neighbor chops down one of your trees, and you're saying, "Chop down my tree. That's my tree in my yard, and I want you to plant it." And they say, "I'm not going to." You say, "Okay, I'm going to sue you." Well, then you are the plaintiff. You go to civil court. I mean, it's not a criminal issue, right? It's a civil issue. You go to under tort law, so you go to the plaintiff. And you go to court, and you're the plaintiff, and you say, "Hey, listen, I've been wronged, and if the court holds in your favor, then you'll be granted, certain compensation for your loss." Well, divorce used to work exactly that way. There was a plaintiff and a defendant. Usually, the plaintiff was the woman complaining about the guy something he was doing, but you couldn't just say, "Oh, I don't love him anymore." You had to give a specific reason. What they called these reasons were grounds for divorce. So it didn't matter, what the source of your dissatisfaction was. If you wanted to get divorced, you had to show to the satisfaction of the court that you've been wrong in one of these specific areas. So in New York State, the only ground for divorce was adultery. And so you had to prove to the satisfaction of the court that your spouse was an adulterer. And it was public, and it was, it was messy. And so that was the way it was. And there were a variety of grounds for divorce: physical cruelty, mental cruelty, desertion, all kinds of stuff. Well, what would happen is that the plaintiff would sue the defendant. Typically, it was the woman, and it was messy. Okay, as I said, and if the court held in the plaintiff's favor, then the plaintiff, if it was a woman, usually got some redress of grievance, and what that typically was alimony. And the way the court looked at it is, again, I've mentioned this over and over again, the thing you got to focus on is the children, protecting the children. And so the children's interest came first. So the woman typically got the children. There's this thing called the tender years doctrine, where the woman almost always gets the kids. And she's got to be bad to not get the kids. I mean, she's got to be bad. And so almost, a drug user or something where she can't function. And so the woman gets the kids, the woman gets alimony, and then, of course, since she has the kids, the guy has to pay child support. And then there was the idea that, since the woman has the children and she needs to take the kids to school, the woman needs the car, okay? And so the woman gets the car and the guy gets the car payment, okay? You don't want to disrupt the lives of the kids, so the woman gets the house and the guy gets the house payment. And so, as a consequence of this, guys literally, it was unfair to guys. Guys would come out of divorce court with nothing but a barrel on. I mean, they had nothing. Okay, they couldn't remarry in minutes. Wives took them to the cleaners, and it was unfair to guys. Okay, so beginning in 1969, the state of California was the first state to come up with no-fault divorce, and it got away from this adversarial proceeding where you've got a plaintiff and a defendant. Now you're saying, hey, it's really nobody's fault. Okay. And it led to this concept of irreconcilable differences. Okay, that's the key thing here. Irreconcilable differences. I don't know if I can spell that. IRECONCILABLE. Oopsie doops. Irreconcilable differences. And you say, well, what is an irreconcilable difference? And the answer is it can be anything. You don't like the way she squeezes the toothpaste, that's an irreconcilable difference for you, okay? And you don't have to say what it is. You don't have to go to court and say, she didn't squeeze toothpaste right. You can just say there's an irreconcilable difference. These differences arose during the course of our relationship. These differences cannot be changed, okay? And boom, they grant you a divorce. Divorce became easy to get, okay? And not only that, because the women's movement was real powerful. This is 1969. The women's movement had gotten powerful. And if women are equal, then they no longer need the protection of the court. So alimony went into disfavor. Not only that, there was this notion of community property. So anything that you acquire before the house, the guy gets the house payment, the wife gets the house. Now, you split the equity in the house. If you have to sell the house, you do it. You split the equity, okay? If you sell the car, you do it. You split the equity. So now, what was a system that was unfavorable to the guys now becomes a system that's unfavorable to the women. I mean, badly unfavorable, because here's the deal. Women still get the kids because of the 10 years doctrine, okay? Guys still pay child support like they should. The average guy only pays child support for about a year, okay? So then the woman is, women typically make less than men. And so the woman's got the kid without the child support, and then you split this other thing. And so now single women with kids are the fastest growing group of poor in America. Fastest group. I tell you, folks, and it's everywhere. You drive around 80, you'll see it. You find some woman driving an old car with 3 kids in the back. That's a poor woman, I guarantee you. And it came about because of divorce in all likelihood. So she was married, got divorced. Alimony's not forthcoming, or if there is alimony, he doesn't make that much. And I mean, it is a struggle. It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. It was a problem before, but I mean, the guys could kind of make it. But now it's a problem. And so that's a consequence of this changes in the legal system. But because divorce became easier, divorce rates increased, and that was right at the time that the baby boomers were starting to get divorced, and so it's like it added oxygen to the flames and started roaring. Okay, there were other factors associated with the rising divorce rate. So we talked about economic issues, we talked about the war, we talked about demographic processes, we talked about legal changes. There were other things. One is working women. I'll be talking about working women as a separate item here in a little bit, but it feeds into the rising divorce rate because women work, they have an alternative. I tell you, in the old days, a woman who was married to a brute had a choice. You can stay married to the brute or you can starve. That's your choice, okay? And so most women stayed in bad marriages, and it was not a good situation. So as more women began to work, they had an alternative. They could be independent and they could get out on their own. And so that's what some of them have chosen to do. So that fed into the rising divorce rate. Another factor that I'll mention, maybe this is the time I'll mention it, emphasis on the individual. Today, we want to be happy, right? And we do what we do to make ourselves happy. My grandma, I think of my grandma, my dad's mother. At the age of 8, she lost both of her parents and her older brother. She was the head of the household at 8 years old. they split the family up. The kids were adopted out. Back then, they adopted kids for little slaves. They fed them and they worked them and didn't much love them, and it was unfortunate. She escaped that situation by marrying my grandpa. She had 11 kids, okay? And if you'd ask my grandma, are you happy? She'd say, happy schmappy. What the hell is that? I'm surviving, okay? That's the way she looked at the world. She was just surviving. But today, we want to be happy. We want to be self-fulfilled. We want to be self-actualized. And so if we get married to be happy and self-fulfilled, and then that happiness is not forthcoming, what do? We get out of it, okay? But there's a little problem, and the little problem are kids that are a product of that relationship. And what happens is the parents emphasize their own personal happiness over that of their kids. You know, they're saying, hey, you know, you'll be okay. And we did this rationalization. I'm as guilty of this as anybody. And there was a lot of literature at the time that focused on, oh, well, kids are better in broken, happy relationships and in unbroken, unhappy relationships. And yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, if the parents are cussing at each other every day and throwing things at each other every day and trying to kill each other every day, yeah, the kids should be, they need to be apart to save the kid, okay? But most of the time, it's not that way, you know? They're just not communicating, or they're just not satisfied, or just not happy, you know? And so what do? You wreck the relationship, and you put the kid, I'll tell you, folks, you put the kid in a bad position. Now, my generation has done that to your generation, okay? And we owe you an apology, and it's not good. It's being very selfish, and you know, it's just fed to divorce rates. I mean, because people want to be happy. My advice to you, I will tell, I've been married a few times, and there was one of those marriages that was really, really awful. And I tell you, I'd have rather committed suicide than stay married to her. But most of the time, it was okay. I just, you know, it wasn't that great, you know. But you know, if you're in a relationship, you know, just stick it out for the kids. Stick it out for the kids. There's no more noble reason for staying married than doing it for the kids. Okay? That's my values, that's my beliefs, and that's what the product of my experience. I'll just tell you that. Okay. But what do I know? I don't know much. Okay. Let's see. Emphasis on the individual. And yeah, that's about it. So those factors are all tied in with the increase in divorce rates. Now we're going to talk about working women. We mentioned that working women fed into the divorce rates, but now we're going to talk about working women as a standalone thing, because that's one of the changes that Durkheim, that ogburn and nimkoff identified as changing in the family. Working women. Let me show you some stuff. It's kind of interesting. 1900. The average life expectancy for men is 49. The average life expectancy for women was 49. Okay? Today, women outlive men by about 5 years on average. Okay? The reason it was the same in 1900 was because of maternal mortality. Mamas dying giving birth, maternal mortality. Today, we've pretty much eliminated that. One of the procedures we do is called C-section. Okay, in the old days, if it was a breech birth, it meant that, you know, normally you come out head first, but if you come out feet first, it's a breech, and you can't get out because your chin hangs up, I guess. And it's hard to get out. And it oftentimes meant that not only did the baby die, but the mama died. Okay, maternal mortality. So that held back female life expectancies. So they were pretty comparable. Okay. Now, what does 49 mean to you? If I say, okay, there's a 49-year-old woman, what are you thinking? I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Menopause. That woman's going through menopause. Well, she could expect to live to menopause, okay, which meant that most women were involved with the bearing and caring of children until they died. It was not uncommon for a woman on her deathbed to have a 2-year-old child or a 6-year-old child. So, and people didn't have birth control, which meant that women had lots of children, okay? So here's what I'm telling you. In the old days, a woman's place was in the home, and she was confined there by her biology. She had no choice. But let's look what has happened since that time. Today, guys live, doesn't matter how old guys live. Women, a white baby girl born today can expect to live to about 80.3 years, okay? So life expectancies have increased. Not only that, now we have birth control. So women can limit the number of kids they have and figure out how they're going to plan their family. She can space them, okay? I want 2 kids 2 years apart. Boom, it's done. She can do it because we've got great birth control. So women are living longer. They can plan their families, okay? There are jobs created which women can do because they don't require a lot of brute strength, okay? All kinds of secretarial jobs and teaching and stuff like that. And so everything was right for women. Oh, labor-saving devices in the home. There were all kinds of things that freed women up from their housework. I mean, just think about it. I'm giving this lecture in my kitchen, and I'm looking around, and we got a sink with a disposer in it. I never had a disposer when I was a kid growing up. We didn't have those things. I'm leaning on a dishwasher. You can't see it; it's under the countertop. But the dishwasher, we didn't have those, in the old days. Trash compactors, we don't have one of those, but some people do. All kinds of irons, steam irons, and microwaves. We got a microwave. I was in college before microwaves came online for commercial distribution. We used to marvel at how you could cook bacon, in just a few seconds. So all of this stuff, okay, vacuum cleaners, reduce the workloads of women, okay. So what you got is the workloads, kids, housework. It's shrinking, life expectancies are increasing, the kinds of jobs available are better. What was needed was an impetus that would shock people out of the notion that a woman's place is in the home, and that impetus was World War II. World War II, we got the guys going off to fight. We are pumping up industrially for the war effort. And it was the period of Rosie the Riveter. Women had the opportunity and were encouraged to get jobs outside the home. And it was a liberating experience. For the first time, women were making cash money. On the farm, the guys had the money. You only made money once a year. Some of the women had milk money, egg money. I remember my aunt had. She used to wrap all her milk and egg money. But it's not much. But now women are getting paid every Friday. They're doing man's work. They're Rosie the Riveter. They're welding. They're carpenters. They're making airplanes. They're doing all this stuff. Okay, and so they saw what it was like, and it kind of broke the barrier. Well, after the war, there was all this propaganda to get the women to give up their jobs for the returning servicemen. A lot of them did. They came home, had the baby boom. All right. But then, once their kids started getting in school, they started thinking about, hey, it's pretty cool to have that money, independence, pretty cool. A lot of women started back. So that was the thing that broke the cultural prohibition against women working outside the home. Okay, declining family size. Let's talk a little bit about that. That's another change. So we had divorce rates going up, working women. Declining family size. Declining family size, we'll talk about that some in demography, but basically what's going on here is that as we switched from an agrarian to an industrial economy, people moved into town to be close to their work. And kids are an economic asset on the farm, but they're an economic liability in town. So as people moved into towns, they started reducing the number of kids that they had. So family size started to decline. So just as an example, I'll give you 3 generations. Both my parents had 11 siblings, okay? I had 5 siblings. My son has no siblings, okay? So you can just see, and that's not uncommon, okay? Farm families were big families. Town families were small families. Okay, and then of course the availability of birth control made that possible. All right? Premate choice is the next change that they talk about. Most of you would not even think about giving your parents the right to choose your spouse, okay? You insist that it's your choice to make. Well, the fact that you can choose is a fairly recent thing. Marriages used to be arranged. But now you can pick them because, again, we've seen the transformation from an agricultural to an industrial economic base. In an agricultural base, the elders own the land. Therefore, the elders control your economic destiny. And so you got to behave, all right? And so what would happen is that little Johnny might be in love with little Miss Boom Boom down the road, but the parents want him to marry the girl on the adjacent farm because that gives them access to the river. And little Johnny says, I don't want to marry Betty. I want to marry Boom Boom. They're saying, you marry Boom Boom and you're not going to inherit the farm. So that was economic suicide. So he'd do what his parents said. Today, we have all these industrial jobs separate from the land. Parents still control the land for farm families. But now little Johnny, in love with Boom Boom, can come to Ada and work in Walmart. Okay? And he has an opportunity separate from the land, out from under the control of his parents. So it frees him up. It undercut the authority of the parents, gave the individual more power. There are still families where the kids do what parents want them to do, even in terms of marriage. Think about this. You said I'd never do that. What if you stood to inherit $10 million? Think about it. You get $10 million if you marry this girl. You get nothing if you marry that girl. I think about the first one. Okay. Emphasis on the individual. I've talked about that. I'm not going to revisit that. Loss of family functions. Now, this is our last section of the family. We've been going about 20 minutes. You know, I think I'm going to stop here and then finish. And this is a good breaking point. So this was F, right? 16F. 16F. And after F is G. So that's the end of 16F. We're going to do 16G. So I'm going to stop. See you in a sec.